LEGO designers love hiding small secrets in sets, such as references to other LEGO products or real-world events. Today we'll explore 20 more hidden secrets, including the funny story behind this "No Babies Allowed" tile included in a very specific set. The LEGO art line has been releasing brick-built recreations of classic paintings for a few years now. While some have been hits and others have been misses, there are some with very clever references built in. For example, one of the newest sets is the Mona Lisa, painted by the famous artist and inventor Leonardo da Vinci. The Mona Lisa has long been regarded as one of the most mysterious of da Vinci's paintings, and even the LEGO set is hiding something. This build, just like the original work of art, is done layer by layer to give a great sense of depth. But what's the secret? Well, it's actually hiding in plain sight. While you're building this set, you'll likely find a few places where you stop and ask yourself, why use 3 pieces here instead of just 1? While LEGO typically tries to be as efficient as possible when designing their sets, sometimes they choose to go a little overboard in pursuit of a message, and in this case, it's the part count itself that's the Easter egg. This build comes with exactly 1,503 pieces. Why? Well, because Da Vinci started to work on this painting in the year 1503. A simple but great reference. Another interesting note is that this painting includes a staggering 314 bricks in metallic gold to create the frame, making it the set with the most parts in this color ever, beating out both the Infinity Gauntlet and the Monkey King Ultra Mech. However, this isn't the only time that LEGO has adjusted the piece count to make a point. While designing the impressive Saturn V, the designers, Mike Psyche on the left and Carl Merriam on the right, thought it would be cool to release the set with exactly 1,969 pieces, since the Saturn V launched the first manned moon mission in 1969. According to Carl, this was originally deemed to be too restrictive and the idea got shelved. That is, until they finished their first design and found that the piece count came out to 1,973. And well, from there it was just a quick task to swap out a few parts to get the final number down to exactly 1,969. Moving from the real world to the fictional world, the Dark Falcon is perhaps the most unique spin on the classic starship, and features a handful of cool references for Star Wars fans, but there's one that really stands out. In almost every other LEGO model of this famous ship, we get a board to play Dedrick, also called Holo Chess, which is taken directly from the scene in Star Wars A New Hope with Chewbacca and C-3PO. However, in this evil alternate universe, this game has been replaced by something much darker: video games. Yup, the Dark Falcon seems to have swapped out the physical game board for what appears to be a PS5. That's right, I guess we now know their console of choice, PlayStation. Next up, one LEGO set that manages to perfectly combine art and science is the Milky Way Galaxy from 2024. This build is an absolute masterclass in fine detail work, but there's one tiny detail that's truly out of this world. While building, you'll need to add a single crab piece in the middle of deep space. Why? Well, that's exactly where the Crab Nebula is. Simple, yet elegant. Sticking to outer space for just a little longer, the re-released Galaxy Explorer set from 2022 also features a few cool hidden details for eagle-eyed builders to spot. For one, the ship's designation, LL928, is a direct reference to the original Galaxy Explorer set number of 928. Additionally, the ship's overall shape is a near-perfect match for the classic space logo, and although you may say that this is a pretty generic spaceship shape, it's interesting to note. On a similar token, this ship also features a unique radar screen with a very familiar logo. That triangle is the unmistakable symbol of Blacktron, the rival faction from the classic Spaceline. At the time, most people assumed that this was just a neat little reference and nothing more. That is, until people got to look at the January 2023 gift with purchase set, the Blacktron Cruiser. This was the very first Blacktron set in decades, and it also featured a small Easter egg as the pilot's display features a very similar outline. These two foes both have each other on their radar. I guess some rivalries truly never die. Another fantastic reference to a past LEGO set can be found in the fan favorite Lion Knight's Castle, released in 2022. This set is full of hidden secrets and references, but one of my favorites can be found in one of the bedrooms. Hidden deep in the castle, you'll notice this small yellow build. On its own, it's nothing special, but for those who know LEGO's history, it's a special treat. LEGO's very first castle was released in 1978 and was simply called Castle. This 767-piece build is truly the stuff of legends, and seeing it referenced here, complete with a red drawbridge, was a real treat for many longtime LEGO fans. You may recall that a similar reference can be spotted in the Natural History Museum, where we can see the Yellow Castle again, as well as a reference to the Forest Man's Hideout and LEGO Pirates. Now, while these are all references to other LEGO sets, sometimes LEGO manages to reference real people and real places. One of the more subtle examples of this can be found in this LEGO Icons Formula 1 set. Early on in the build, you'll add a round 2x2 brick in blue, as well as some small yellow quarter circle tiles and green plates. These colors don't really appear on the outside of the car, so this struck some builders as an odd choice. However, fans of Formula 1 were quick to realize the connection. This build is based on the actual car driven by Brazilian Ayrton Senna, and those colors just so happen to match the Brazilian flag. Another set hiding a little something extra under the hood is the upscaled Racing Driver minifigure. This guy is the latest in the ever-increasing series of upscaled figures, and he's got a seriously one-track mind. While building his head, you may notice that things are a little different than you might expect. Instead of constructing his brain, it quickly becomes apparent that this is no ordinary thinker. Instead, this guy is powered by a V6 engine up in his noggin. Additionally, you may have noticed that LEGO really likes giving shoutouts to its set designers. In fact, several LEGO employees and even some fans have made their way into official sets. Going back to the Natural History Museum set mentioned a little earlier, this guy appears as a window washer. While that might not look like anything special at first glance, a little extra information snaps things into focus. This set was designed by a guy named Chris McVeigh, who bears a truly striking resemblance to this particular figure all the way down to the same hat. But that's not all, because Chris also pops up in another set, the Botanical Garden from 2024, where he appears as a photographer. Chris isn't the only real person in this set though, as it also includes a few nods to the original LEGO Ideas designer, Valentina Bima. She makes an appearance as a worker, and they also managed to sneak in this sticker, which includes a picture of her actual dog. Now, turning to another of LEGO's many buildings, a fan named Jeremy pointed out a very neat detail in the police station modular set. This build features a handful of fun secrets, including a very important hidden piece. On page 12 of the instructions, hiding beneath a pile of rubble, there's a single spoon waiting to help a patient convict escape. If digging a tunnel out of jail with a spoon seems like a tall order, remember that these guys have all the time in the world and nothing left to lose. Either way, it seems like they might be very close to being done, as there's a nearly complete tunnel beneath the cell, as well as a small crack at the back of the building. The Dungeons & Dragons set is jam-packed with references for fans of the tabletop game, hiding within its 3,745 pieces. While most of these aren't exactly hidden, there is one detail that has given even die-hard fans a reason to stop and scratch their heads. You see, on page 40 of the third instruction booklet, you'll need to build this small column. Nothing too crazy here, but there is one detail that has caused a great deal of confusion. In this instruction step, you're told to hide a small gemstone inside of a hollow pillar brick and then cover it up. About 10 pages later, you continue to build this column upwards and then completely cover it. Once built, there's simply no way to ever access this again without taking apart a large chunk of this set, and considering that this is one of the main pillars supporting this entire build, I doubt that many LEGO fans have ever retrieved this gemstone after placing it inside. This is truly a secret that only the builder of the set would ever know about. Another set that covers up a fun little detail is the Hogwarts Castle Owlry, which features a design that surprised many builders. You see, as you build this set, you'll realize that there's an owl built into the tower's base. It's a really fun little detail, but this type of Easter egg is actually a bit more common than you may think, because LEGO enjoys doing this quite frequently in many of the company's smaller seasonal builds, like this penguin set, which actually features a highly detailed snowflake inside of the base of the build. However, one of my absolute favorite LEGO Easter eggs isn't actually found in a LEGO set at all. LEGO has released several building ideas books designed to give inspiration to budding designers, and these often feature little jokes hidden among the pages. This image made a lot of people ask what the Greek speech bubble actually said. The answer is both surprising and hilarious. This text translates to, quote, "All in all, I'm just another brick in the wall," which, for anyone who isn't familiar with classic British rock music, is a direct quote from Pink Floyd's The Wall and is one of the most famous song lyrics of all time. Up next, you may know that as a company, LEGO makes a point to create minifigures that are relatable for all people, and has spent the last several years creating minifigures with all manner of disabilities. Recently though, LEGO took another step when they released the Tudor Corner modular build, which introduced a printed tile featuring a green lanyard with sunflowers on it. For anyone who doesn't know, these lanyards are actually an international symbol that the wearer has a hidden disability, such as autism, ADHD, epilepsy, or dementia. This is a relatively new symbol and initiative, but so far the project has been a serious game changer for those who might need extra assistance but aren't as visibly handicapped as someone, let's say, in a wheelchair. Aside from this printed tile, LEGO has also begun rolling out special designs available at all 55 minifigure factory locations, and LEGO has also created a Friends mini doll and Duplo figure too. Moving on, I think we can all agree that LEGO has very actively advertised itself as a toy for children of all ages, but there's one set that seemingly has a very strict no kids allowed policy. This funny printed tile has only ever appeared in a single set. Can you guess which one? Well, if you've ever been to an amusement park, you've almost certainly seen signs that tell you how tall you need to be to safely ride, and this LEGO roller coaster is no different. For good reason, this roller coaster doesn't allow babies on board, and you'll need to follow the other signs too. These cars require minifigures to sit down, so I guess you need to have bendable legs to have fun. LEGO does a great job getting input from its fans through LEGO Ideas, which initially launched in 2008 with its original name LEGO Kuso, named after the Japanese word kuso, meaning daydream. Thousands of fan ideas are submitted each year, and if you're lucky enough to have your submission chosen, LEGO will reward you with 10 copies of the finished set, lifetime royalties of 1% of the set's sales, and if you're very lucky, something even more special. Let me explain. The Viking Village, released in 2023, is a prime example of what LEGO Ideas does so well, as it uses several brilliant building techniques to bring to life a setting in which LEGO hasn't explored in a long time. While this build is full of clever details that paint a pretty cozy picture of life in the village, there's one that stands out: this special hammer element. Officially known as a minifigure sledgehammer piece, this part has been long referred to by fans as Thor's hammer, since it first appeared as such in a few Marvel sets starting back in 2012. Seeing as how this is a Viking village and there's probably a shrine to Thor somewhere nearby, it makes sense for one of these pieces to appear here. However, this particular version has something extra special: a pair of ancient runes engraved on the side. But what do they mean? Well, a closer look at the hammer reveals that those aren't actually Viking runes, but are instead a stylized version of a B and an H. These letters on this piece are hardly a coincidence, as the original fan design was submitted by a builder known as Brickhammer. To honor his contribution, LEGO included this special element to make sure that everyone knew exactly who created this impressive set. However, it's not just LEGO fans who can earn the privilege of being immortalized in plastic. Many LEGO employees have also been given the same honor. Marcus Kosman is something of a Technic genius and has been the brain behind some of LEGO's most impressive Technic builds, including the Liebherr R9800 and the motorized bulldozer. Perhaps his most underrated set, though, is the Mercedes-Benz Aerox, released in 2015. With 2,793 elements, this is no small set, and the amount of detail is very noteworthy. However, there's one detail that 99% of builders have almost certainly missed. This fairly large build comes with a surprisingly small sticker sheet, and two of these have a pretty fantastic Easter egg. A quick look at the front and rear license plate stickers shows the plate number K055M4NN, which is a direct reference to the LEGO designer's last name, Kosman. Designers are capable of hiding a lot more in sets than just their own names, though. Another common Easter egg is the inclusion of a flag, and 2019's Gingerbread House managed to sneak one into a fairly unique place. Usually, LEGO designers hide flags deep inside the set, and they are quickly covered up. This happens all the time in the Speed Champions line. However, this time, the flag is proudly on display in the final build. Sort of. On the top floor in the bathroom next to the tub, there are two towels hanging, a red one and a green one. Now, this set is full of red and green decor, since it is holiday themed, but the towels aren't just about adding some extra holiday flair. Nope, these are a subtle reference to the Portuguese flag, representing the homeland of one of the set's designers, Tiago Catarino. Now, while sneaking the real world into LEGO sets is always fun, there are actually way more hidden references to other LEGO sets hiding throughout countless builds. As one example, the Boutique Hotel has a miniature art gallery for guests to browse, featuring a painting by Dutch artist Piet Mondrian. The gallery also features this printed Bricasso tile inspired by the works of Pablo Picasso, and this sculpture made out of 6 transparent headlight bricks, which is very clearly the LEGO Creator Expert logo created out of bricks. LEGO has been doing this sort of stuff in their modular building sets for a very long time. In fact, back in 2007, the very first modular set, the Cafe Corner, featured a fun hidden detail on step 4. Here, the tiles spell cafe, which, unlike many hidden references, is actually still mostly visible when the set is finished, so that's nice. Even older though, Octan has been powering LEGO City for decades, first appearing in 1992's Gas and Wash Express. This red, white, and green logo has popped up across several themes, including this very faded version that appeared on the Skull Twins from the Space Police 3 line, and in the LEGO Movie, President Business was the head of the Octan Corporation. However, there's at least one set that proves just how far-reaching Octan's presence is in the LEGO universe. With 6,785 pieces, the UCS AT-AT is one of the largest LEGO sets ever produced, and that much machine needs an equally large amount of fuel. In the world of LEGO, there's no better source for gas than the Octan Corporation, and even in a galaxy far, far away, it seems that LEGO City's oldest company can't be beat. Pretty late in the build, you'll be told to construct a total of 8 of these red, white, and green canisters. Well, if you've been paying attention, those colors probably look very familiar. Yup, it seems that the Empire runs on octan fuel. Between this and their appearance as something of a vilified mega-corporation in the LEGO Movie, it makes me wonder just what LEGO thinks of Octan. Despite them starting as a very small oil and gas company during the early days of LEGO City, they've grown to pretty much control the entire energy market. They're a monopoly in the LEGO universe. Maybe I'll dive more into the lore behind Octan in a future video, so be sure to subscribe. But as prevalent as Octan might be, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to hidden LEGO references. The Escape from the Lost Tomb set released in 2023 and features a pair of Easter eggs that don't really have anything in common, but are equally cool nonetheless. The first can be found on the front of the temple, on the right side of the entrance. Here, just above Indy's hat, we see the unmistakable outline of a Cow mask from Bionicle. Even though Bionicle is one of LEGO's most beloved franchises, this one could have easily slipped by, as it hasn't been around for quite some time. However, there is another detail hiding in plain sight that's sure to be a bit more recognizable. Just opposite the Bionicle mask, on the left of the archway, there's this image featuring 2 very familiar droids from a galaxy far, far away. Interestingly enough, this isn't just a reference exclusive to this LEGO set, because these C-3PO and R2-D2 hieroglyphics are seen in the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie. This is a subtle reference to the fact that both franchises, Star Wars and Indiana Jones, were created by George Lucas. In fact, when LEGO had made the original version of this set back in 2008, it also featured this fun reference to Star Wars. Next up, another subtle nod to a famous LEGO theme can be found in the Wheelie Stunt Bike set from the Stunts sub-theme. This set comes with a single minifigure, and she seems to be a pretty die-hard LEGO fan. On the back of her jacket, there's a small symbol, which is incredibly easy to miss among all of the other details. Eagle-eyed builders will recognize this as the Bionicle symbol for the 3 virtues of unity, duty, and destiny. Overall, minifigures seem to be pretty big fans of retro LEGO themes. Just check out the shirt on the Violin Kid from Collectible Minifigures Series 21. Yeah, that's the unmistakable logo for Blacktron, specifically Blacktron Future Generation, also known as Blacktron 2, which featured this lime green color. It seems like LEGO designers just can't get enough of Bionicle references though, as they appear over and over again in many different sets. One of the most subtle can be found in the Welcome to Apocalypseburg set, where on step 676, you'll build this small design. As we saw on the biker's jacket a moment ago, that's the same symbol of the 3 virtues. This same symbol pops up in the City of Lanterns build, while another Cow mask can be seen in the Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets build. On the topic of wizards, there's at least one build that has several direct references to other Harry Potter sets. The Gryffindor House banner set from 2023 doesn't even have 300 pieces, but it's packed full of fun details to spot. In fact, there's one that even the most die-hard Harry Potter fans could easily miss. One of the set's stickers, sticker number 3 to be precise, features a handful of books, which are easily overlooked as a mere decoration. However, upon further inspection, they seem to be 3 very specific books. You see, a couple years prior to this set's release back in 2021, LEGO put out a series of Hogwarts Moments sets, which were designed to look like books sitting on a shelf. Judging by the colors of the spines of these books, it looks like we have the Transfiguration class book, the Charms class book, and the Herbology class book sitting on display. The colors all match up. Another great set that directly references other sets has got to be the 2020 Elf Clubhouse. This set is another winner from the incredible Winter Village collection, and it features 2 equally wonderful Easter eggs hidden inside. Among the many gifts and toys strewn around the workshop, 2 of them really stand out: a piano and a pirate ship. If you're a big fan of LEGO Ideas, you probably know where this is going, as the 2 Ideas releases that year were the Grand Piano and the Pirates of Barracuda Bay. So from this observation, it becomes apparent that these elves are creating these new sets. I just think this is a really fun and unique piece of LEGO lore. This set also featured a super neat computer sub-build, so maybe one day we'll get a vintage PC to sit next to the typewriter. Moving on, one hidden secret that I never see anyone talking about can be found in the Hurricane Heist set from the Ultra Agents lineup. This build is seriously impressive, and the transforming mech is super cool, but there's one tiny detail that really makes this build an all-time great in my book. This sticker appears on the cockpit screen for the mech and immediately gets the attention of any old-school gamer. In 1998, Konami released Metal Gear Solid to rave reviews and massive success. One of the most iconic aspects of the game was how it handled dialogue between characters with its codec radio system. There's a lot of hidden lore here, but the very short version is that not only does this almost perfectly match the in-game version, but the specific frequency of 140.15 is the solution to one of the game's most legendary puzzles. Coming back to the real world, the Empire State Building is a global landmark and, with more than a century of history, has countless stories to tell. However, the LEGO version has a few secrets of its own hiding deep inside. For one, much of the interior is decorated in red, white, and blue to highlight the building's status as an American icon. Beneath all of that though, on the ground floor, we see several escalators. This is the only internal decoration in the building, gets quickly covered up, and can't be easily accessed without some major disassembly, but they are a realistic depiction of the building's 8 actual escalators inside. A great example of a hidden Easter egg can be found in the Magic of Disney set from 2024. This build is bursting with references to Disney's illustrious history of animation, but most of these are on full display. It's kind of the entire point of the set. However, there's one reference that stands out because it will likely never be seen by anyone other than the builder. About 3/4 of the way through the build, starting on step 153, you'll start building Mickey Mouse himself. After a few steps, you might notice a very familiar pattern starting to take shape. Brown boots, blue pants, a yellow shirt, a cowhide vest, and even a brown hat. Yup, that's undeniably Woody from Toy Story. The real neat thing here though is the use of these 1x1 white plates with a black spot printed on them. This set comes with 8 of these pieces and they're all used in this step. Including printed pieces just for them to be covered up really demonstrates the sheer dedication to this hidden reference. Now, one of my all-time favorite hidden references can be found in 2025's Tyrannosaurus Rex Fossilized Skeleton set. This massive set comes with over 3,000 parts, but there's only 2 pieces that I'm specifically interested in for this video. About halfway through the first instruction booklet, you'll need to fish out a few pieces that don't really seem like they'd belong in this set. The first is a steering wheel element, which, as I'm sure you know, is definitely not part of the T-Rex fossil record. So what is this for? Well, it gets even more interesting because the very next step tells you to grab one of LEGO's most iconic parts, the green frog. You're told to stack the frog on top of a little brown seat and set it in front of the steering wheel. This step caused more than a couple people to wonder what was going on, but the answer really isn't all that complicated. As anyone who's seen or read the original Jurassic Park knows, the dinosaurs were brought back to life by using frog DNA, and this little frog here seems to be driving the dinosaur. Much like with Woody in the Disney set, this little guy gets completely covered up by the rest of the build and is never seen again. However, this isn't the first time that LEGO has pulled this trick. Back in 2019, LEGO released the Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage set. This set shares a few things in common with the T-Rex fossil. Not only do they both predominantly feature a giant T-Rex build, but they both have almost the exact same number of parts, 3,143 for the fossil and 3,120 for this set released in 2019. But that's not all. On step 12 of the first instruction booklet, you're supposed to place a single green frog in the middle of what will become the T-Rex torso. Next up, let's explore another hidden secret in one of LEGO's many licensed themes. The Shadow the Hedgehog bust is a great representation of the character, but he's hiding something particularly special inside the display base. On page 10 of the instructions, you'll need to stash 3 gold rings inside the base before covering it up. It's a fun reference to his 3 golden rings. Another video game franchise to get the LEGO treatment is Animal Crossing, which has released a dozen sets since its debut in 2024. In the Able Sisters clothing shop, you'll need to build a tree, and you're told to place a flower inside of it and seal it up. Well, if you've played Animal Crossing, you probably know what this refers to, but for those who haven't, shaking trees can cause useful items like flowers or fruit to fall out, so this is a nice little reference to the game. Now, while all of these hidden Easter eggs in licensed sets are amazing for fans of the franchises, LEGO's original lines are equally packed with unique and creative secrets. One amazing example can be found in the minifigure tribute set, also known as the Upscaled Pirate. This is a LEGO House exclusive set only available at the company's headquarters in Billund, Denmark. LEGO has released a few of these over the last several years, but this one is a true fan favorite since it's a direct copy of the iconic Captain Redbeard minifigure from the very first wave of pirate sets back in 1989. Near the end of this build in bag number 7, you'll need to start building the captain's head. Well, it seems that you can take the pirate out of the sea, but you can never take the sea out of the pirate. Because you see, instead of a brain, this guy only has one thing on his mind. And you figure that out when you build it. It's in fact a small island, which is quickly covered up by the rest of the head. Another LEGO set with a little extra headroom is the Creator 3-in-1 Space Astronaut set released in 2024. With only 647 pieces, this build is a bit smaller than the others mentioned in this video so far, but its immense level of detail made this one of my favorite builds last year. However, as great as this set is, there's one part of it that left me a little confused and a bit disappointed. On step 37, you'll build the astronaut's head, and you'll likely notice that this area looks remarkably similar to a cockpit. There's a small control panel, and a space perfectly designed to hold a minifigure. This is actually pretty cool, so what's the issue? Well, you see, this set doesn't actually come with any minifigures at all. I mean, it's worth pointing out that these 3-in-1 sets almost never include minifigures, and I don't think anyone expected this build to include one, but what's slightly confusing though is why the designers would create a space designed for something that's not really included in the set at all. Sure, you can just add one of your own minifigures here, but it's still a strange choice to not include a minifigure in this set. On the topic of minifigures, there are several characters who pop up over and over again across a range of themes. One of the funniest examples of this is the Lumberjack from Collectible Minifigures Series 5. Take a good look at this guy. Notice his red and white plaid shirt, his light blue jeans, and he even has a name tag that reads Kel. Well, let's jump ahead a few years to Collectible Minifigures Series 14, and what's that? A familiar looking werewolf? Yup, Series 14's wolf guy is 100% the Lumberjack from earlier. Same shirt, same pants, same name tag. How did it happen? Well, I have no idea, but he's not the only minifigure out there to come with a werewolf variant. Check this out. 2018's pop-up book set features a couple of fairy tale favorites, including Jack and the Beanstalk and Little Red Riding Hood. No version of this latter tale would be complete without a big bad wolf, and this set doesn't disappoint. Of the set's 4 minifigures, we get a dear old granny, as well as the evil wolf imposter, and I absolutely love this minifigure. While the torn and shredded clothes don't paint a pretty picture for the fate of Granny, the glasses are just perfect. I really like when LEGO tells stories throughout their sets. Now jumping up to a much larger set, Assembly Square is a 4,000 two-piece build released back in 2017 to celebrate 10 years of LEGO modular sets. As such, this build is bursting with Easter eggs and hidden references. I don't have the time to go over everything hiding in this build, but there are a few key details that are definitely worth pointing out. In this image, we can see tiny versions of several classic LEGO sets. In the corner, we've got a version of the Eiffel Tower. LEGO has released a few of these, but this is most likely a reference to the 2007 version. We also see this small orange train, which is almost certainly the Horizon Express set released back in 2013. We can also see that this woman picked up a copy of the legendary Cafe Corner modular set, which is a really cool printed piece. Oh, and I can't forget to mention that this set is one of only 2 places that you can get an actual LEGO mirror. So far, these secrets have all been sub-builds or designs that will never be seen by anyone but the builder, but there are several LEGO elements that contain a hidden secret by themselves. Turning back to Jurassic World for a moment, this sticker appeared in the Gyrosphere Escape set, which at first glance seems to show some kind of massive mushroom cloud erupting in the background. Is this a depiction of a LEGO nuclear explosion? Well, this Easter egg is actually a reference to this scene from Jurassic World featuring Jimmy Kimmel, where there's a much smaller explosion in his lab while filming an intro video for guests at the park. As another small example of an interesting piece, this digital alarm clock tile can be flipped upside down and can read as either 1201 or 1021. This piece popped up in a total of 22 different sets between its introduction in 1988 and its official retirement in 2010. During those years, it seems that even LEGO designers couldn't ever agree on what the time actually was supposed to be. The first set to include this part was the Victory Lap Raceway, and it very clearly displayed the tile in both orientations. In the last set to include this piece, 2010's Off-Road Power, we see that this set places it to read 1201. Which way is the correct way to display this piece? The freedom is yours to choose. Moving on, one thing LEGO designers love to do is hide the set's number somewhere in the build. One fairly recent example can be spotted in 2024's Police Speedboat and Crook's Hideout set. This is a pretty small build with only 311 pieces, but it includes one brand new element with a hidden meaning. Hanging on a pillar, there's a small wanted poster. A closer look shows that this particular criminal has already been arrested once, and his prisoner number is 604-17. Want to guess what this set's official number is? Yup, this is set numbers 60417. So far, this particular printed piece has only ever appeared in this set, but I think it would be really cool if LEGO used it in future releases to tie things all together. There's a lot of potential to tell a very engaging story here. Come on, LEGO, give us some lore. Alright, so everything I've mentioned in this video thus far has been about the LEGO set itself, but sometimes even the box art can be hiding secrets. The roller coaster set from 2018 is a seriously impressive build with just the right level of detail. One of the easiest to miss details here can be found on the box art. If you look very closely at the upper right corner, just beneath the word expert, you'll notice an orange hat flying off a minifigure's head. Well, if we jump to the instructions, we can see that this hat landed safely on the grass below. I wonder if this minifigure was ever able to retrieve his orange hat. Now, this next LEGO hidden secret is a bit of a mystery that requires some in-depth real-world knowledge to unpack. Dom's Dodge Charger from the Fast and Furious line features one step that caused more than a few people to post online asking what it meant. This build includes a very manageable sticker sheet, but one of these is not like the others. About halfway through the build, you're told to apply this sticker, which looks nothing like anything else in the set. It doesn't have any kind of pattern or design, and it gets completely covered up shortly after being placed. So why even bother including it? Well, to answer that, we need to look a bit more closely at what the sticker actually says. It reads TM FCA US LLC 2020. Which sounds like complete nonsense until you realize that TM stands for trademark and FCA US LLC stands for Fiat Chrysler Automobiles US LLC, which represents the American subsidiary that owns Dodge, including the rights to its name and image. You may be more familiar with the new name of the parent company called Stellantis. This sticker is almost certainly just a condition that the company had for LEGO to license the name and image of the Dodge Charger, so when you apply this sticker, you're essentially applying a corporate trademark sticker to the car. Yeah, I agree, it's an odd sticker, but it's certainly an interesting Easter egg to learn about. It's no secret that minifigures love building with LEGO bricks as much as we do, and there are several LEGO sets of official LEGO stores, as well as multiple sets that include tiny boxes of LEGO sets and even a handful of sets that are scale models of LEGO's production machines. But how do these sets get from the factory to the store? Well, they use a full fleet of LEGO delivery trucks, of course. The LEGO City truck rolled off the line in 2010 with 278 parts and 2 minifigures. With that small of a piece count, this set is surprisingly large, thanks in part to these 9 fairly large wall elements that make up the bulk of the trailer. As cool as the truck itself is, it's what's inside that really counts and earns this set a spot in today's video. If we open up the trailer and take a look at the contents, we're treated to some very familiar looking packaging. This truck is full of LEGO sets. Each of these little boxes is made up of a basic blue 2x2 brick, a blue 2x2 tile, and a single sticker to top it all off. In total, we've got 9 sets in 3 groups of 3. We've got 2005's police car, 2007's off-road fire rescue set, and shockingly, this exact LEGO delivery truck itself. Yup, this truck is somehow delivering tiny versions of itself all around LEGO City. Now, while we're looking at the sticker sheet, there are actually a few other small things worth pointing out. There's a common trend of LEGO designers hiding messages on vehicle license plates, and we can see an example of that here. The plates read HA3221, with 3221 being the set's number, and HA being the initials of the set's designer, Henrik Anderson. Sticking around LEGO City for a bit, the Natural History Museum is a goldmine of fun references and Easter eggs. While assembling the building's foundation, you'll notice a few small details seemingly unknown to the museum's staff, as pointed out by a viewer going by the name of East Andean President. On page 32, you'll assemble this small recess holding a pair of mysterious bones lying beneath the floorboards. Are these some lost fossils, or the horrifying remains of an unreported construction accident? Who knows? A few pages later, on page 43, you'll add a second secret with this single yellow sloped brick. Officially, these are known as cheese wedges, and that's pretty accurate here, as this piece hints at a small pest problem plaguing the museum. Funnily enough, this set doesn't actually include a mouse though. Throughout this build, the instructions list several cool facts about the museum and its collection. There's a bit of lore here. While all of these are super cool, there's one that I really want to point out. On page 93 of the instructions, there's a small line of text about how these pots were created for the museum by the artist living above the Parisian restaurant. As you may know, there is in fact an artist living above the restaurant in the official set. While this figure appears to be a painter in this shot, it turns out that she's also a talented sculptor, an artist of many mediums. Now, just down the street from the museum, we can find the corner garage. While the mechanic's shop is the centerpiece of this build, there's another business in this building, Dr. Jones's Animal Care. On the window next to the front door, you'll need to add this unique printed window that reads Dr. Jones Animal Care, No Snakes, which is a subtle reference to the Indiana Jones films and the archaeologist's intense dislike for the crawling reptiles. As a completely pedantic note, I just have to point out the error on this sign though. There shouldn't be a space between the word snakes and the exclamation point, but that's hardly enough to ruin the incredible joke. Moving on, if we take a look in front of the garage, we'll see a single gas pump with a familiar brand, Octan. Previously, I've pointed out that these guys seemingly power everything in LEGO City and beyond, and y'all pointed out several more sets to feature LEGO's oldest fictional company. The NASA Artemis Space Launch System is a towering build made up of 3,601 bricks and standing about 28 inches or 70 centimeters tall. While much of the build is a somewhat repetitive slog assembling the massive and richly detailed launch tower, the rocket itself is a brilliant piece of LEGO design, with more than a few tricks and surprises in store for builders. A fan named Abo Reese pointed out that on page 115 of the instructions, you'll put together a couple of small sections that represent the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen pumps that help power the rocket's boosters. Each of these requires 3 small 1x2 round plates in green, red, and white, the colors of Octan. This is very clearly a reference as the page itself contains text reading, quote, "A LEGO rocket must be powered the LEGO way, of course. The stacked, rounded 1x2 plates inside the petrol station in front of the rocket have a long LEGO history." But you see, Octan's influence doesn't just end at Earth. The 2024 version of R2-D2 is possibly the company's best version ever, with just over 1,000 bricks and a seriously impressive level of detail. But one of the best references is hidden deep inside this build. Fairly early in the construction, you'll once again notice some familiar colors. LEGO sets often use multiple colors on the interior of sets to help keep builders oriented during construction. But the use of red, white, and green here seems pretty intentional. especially considering that this is hardly the only Star Wars set to feature some octan power. Thanks to Nicholas Crow for submitting this one, and if you've ever spotted a hidden secret in a LEGO set, let me know in the comments and you might get featured in a future video. The collectible minifigure series is a goldmine of fun references, as LEGO often brings back characters or references characters from long retired themes for a special one-off encore. And that's exactly what happened with the super cool Galactic Bounty Hunter from Series 19. This guy is all business, and the large Blacktron logo on the front proves that he's not to be trusted. As serious as this minifigure is, there's something pretty funny about what he's holding. This small red poster reads "Wanted, Built, or Broken," which is a really clever twist on the classic Dead or Alive posters from the Old West. Additionally, I just have to point out that the minifigure on this Wanted poster is perhaps the most generic looking figure I could imagine, so this bounty hunter might have a hard time tracking down their prey. There aren't many distinguishable features on this guy. Now, as we saw earlier, LEGO loves referencing other sets and sometimes even entire themes. Previously, I mentioned the Bionicle reference hidden in the Indiana Jones Escape from the Lost Tomb set, but a fan named Tiger Albatross pointed out that I missed another reference hidden on the very same piece. In the bottom left corner of the wall, we can see a second familiar face representing LEGO Exoforce. Bionicle references are everywhere and pop up across several LEGO themes. One short-lived theme that doesn't get enough love is Hidden Side, and the Phantom Firetruck 3000 is a great set with a truly fantastic monster. However, for this video, I'm more interested in the Firetruck. Not only is this a fun build, but it's got at least two great references. If we look closely at the stickers on the side, we can very clearly make out a very familiar face. What's a bit less recognizable though is this sticker of a black cat's face and the word Rescue. LEGO Rescue was a short-lived theme from 1998 that featured small builds of the city emergency and rescue vehicles. This theme only released a small handful of sets, but it's been referenced a few times over the years, including an appearance in LEGO Island 2, The Brickster's Revenge. Moving on, the Gryffindor House banner is another set that I've mentioned here before, but a fan named Craxon pointed out something that I missed last time. Last time I brought up this step. I pointed out that this sticker showcases several other LEGO sets, but it seems that I forgot to mention a very fun Easter egg also here. On that same sticker, we can see a small red ball sitting on top of the books. This is very obviously Neville Longbottom's Remember-All, and it looks like he's forgotten something. Perhaps these are his textbooks. Next up, released in 2020, 123 Sesame Street is a blast of nostalgia for generations of builders. While the set is full of pretty straightforward nods to the show's 50+ years of history, there's one that's easily overlooked, buried deep in the set's foundation. On page 39 of the set's instructions, you'll add a small spider and a spider web, before completely covering it up a few steps later. At first, this might seem a bit confusing to some fans, but it's a reference to the Itsy Bitsy Spider who appears in several classic episodes, which is such a fun reference. LEGO's Winter Village collection is one of fans' most beloved lines, with gorgeous new sets being added every year, and these sets often have at least a few hidden references. One fun one can be found in 2019's Gingerbread House, which features this little adorable model train. This might look familiar to longtime collectors, and it's actually a fantastic recreation of 2016's Winter Holiday Train, just in very small scale. These Winter Village sets often include references to past builds, and sometimes even future releases. The Holiday Train, for example, features this small fire truck, which could have been a small clue about 2018's Winter Village Fire Station. LEGO sets often take 2 years to go from concept to finished product, so this is totally possible. However, one of the strangest Easter eggs I've spotted can be found in the genuinely cool Spider-Man Final Battle set from 2023. The set is mostly remembered for its impressive collection of minifigures, but the Statue of Liberty build is super fun and home to a neat little hidden secret. On step 69, you'll need to add 2 pink bricks to the statue's head. And this should be familiar to anyone who's ever built a Brickhead set before. In almost every Brickhead's build, you'll add a small pink brick to serve as the character's brain, and it seems that Lady Liberty is no exception. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure why they added this here. The statue doesn't come to life or anything, but it's a fun little detail either way. The Evolution of STEM set from 2025 is one of the most impressive mid-range builds that LEGO has released in years. With 879 parts and 3 unique minifigures, this set is undeniably worth its $80 price tag, especially if you're into science. There are so many references in here for science nerds that I don't have time to mention them all, but there are a handful that deserve a special shout out. For starters, the computer display shows the classic space logo. Besides that, the chalkboard features some mathematics with a depiction of the golden ratio, which is depicted with the number 1.618033. This is technically not completely accurate, as the next digit is a 9, so this number should have been rounded up to read 1.618034, but I can't imagine more than a handful of people ever spotting that one. Next to that, we've got the formula F equals ma, which stands for force equals mass times acceleration, which is something you likely recognize if you've taken high school physics. Lastly, we can see a peanut plant referencing George Washington Carver's work, who was an American agricultural scientist and inventor who studied soil and crops, such as peanuts, for alternative uses such as dyes and oils. His research also helped to develop crop rotation methods to help prevent soil nutrient depletion in farmland across America. Beyond that, Marie Curie's radium tile glows in the dark, implying that it's radioactive. If you're not familiar with Marie Curie, she discovered radium, studied the properties of radioactive substances, and won the Nobel Prize not once, but twice. Additionally, there's this brilliant piece that perfectly recreates the golden records launched aboard the Voyager probes. There's also a scientific depiction of a carbon atom, the visible light spectrum at the bottom of the display model, and even some Morse code that you can spot on the other side. There's more, but these are some of my favorites, just to name a few. The Avengers Tower is the largest Marvel set ever released, made out of more than 5,000 pieces. While this building is packed with references that are sure to delight any fan, one tiny, surprising detail has left some LEGO fans scratching their heads. You see, at the bottom of the building, there's a small wooden bench. Nothing unusual about that. However, underneath, there's something a little bit odd. A single 1x1 round stud. In a set so full of hidden references, this one caused many fans to frantically search their brain for some kind of hidden meaning. Well, as it turns out, the answer is surprisingly straightforward. It seems that this is simply a piece of gum that some lazy minifigure has simply stuck under the bench. Seriously, there's a trash can right there. But this isn't the only time that LEGO has stuck something where it doesn't belong. The London bus is the perfect package for anyone with a love for England and is an incredibly accurate representation of the city's iconic double-decker buses, right down to the smallest details. Underneath one of the seats on the lower level, you're asked to place a single pink 1x1 round stud to, again, serve as some misplaced gum. Gross. But this got me thinking a bit. Why include such a random little detail? The London bus specifically has a pretty bare interior, and this piece kind of just stands out. It reminds me a bit of a few years ago when pink bricks were randomly appearing in nearly every Star Wars build, leaving many fans a bit confused. I mean, it's well known nowadays that almost every Brickhead's figure has a pink brick for a brain. Likewise, many large sets have multicolored bricks hidden inside to help orient the pieces during the build. But this bag from the Star Wars AAT shows two distinctly pink bricks that really have no purpose being here. Well, actually, there's a fun reason for them. LEGO designer Henrik Anderson was asked specifically about this, and he gave us all the sweet details. It turns out that his wife, Danielle, a quality engineer at LEGO, had jokingly said that if the design team could put a pink brick in a Star Wars set, she would bake them a cake. Well, this got slightly out of hand, and now we have dozens of Star Wars ships hiding pink bricks just so the designers could enjoy some cake. Seems like a pretty sweet deal to me. Now, the collectible minifigures line has been wildly popular since its initial release in 2010. This series has given us some of the most legendary minifigures and some of the most wild accessories. When Series 25 was first announced in 2023, figures like the Goat Herder and Bat Knight got most of the attention at first, but there was one figure that had what might be the cleverest and funniest accessory that LEGO's ever included with a collectible minifigure. The film noir detective is a neat enough minifigure with some great elements that we've never gotten before, as well as a very rare rounded cloth collar. But the real treat is what he's holding. While many people may wonder what a fish has to do with a detective, the answer is all in the color. It's a red herring. For anyone who might not be up to date on their 1920s detective lingo, a red herring is something that looks like a clue, but isn't. This joke might be a little obscure, but it's pretty funny if you ask me. However, not every LEGO secret or Easter egg is so plainly visible. In fact, most of them are so hidden that only the builder will ever see them. That's the case with something in the Tales of the Space Age build, as submitted to me by a viewer named Scottish James. In this image that he sent sent me, you can clearly make out a red and white rectangle that starkly contrasts with the rest of the build and is quickly covered up by the frame. Now, for most people, this might not look like anything special, but it is actually the Polish flag. But why exactly is there a flag hidden in this set? Well, as it turns out, there's actually a really good answer. This particular build was designed by a fan as part of the LEGO Ideas line, and that designer was Jan Woźnica, who's from, yep, you guessed it, Poland. Another incredibly well-hidden Easter egg can be found in the 3-in-1 crocodile set. While building this beast, you'll be asked to place 2 small round eyes inside at one point. What's even stranger is that one of them seems to be crying. These are quickly covered up and can't even be accessed once the build is finished. So what is all this about? Well, it's crocodile tears, which for anyone wondering is an old expression meaning that someone is only pretending to be sad. This might be the most obscure reference in any LEGO set, but I have to admit that I found it hilarious, and if you're enjoying these secrets that I'm sharing, I'd appreciate it if you took 2 seconds to tap that subscribe button. Up next is the brick bank, which, like all modulars, doesn't skimp on the detail. This building is packed with fun secrets, but there's one that stands out. It seems that this particular bank shares a wall with a laundromat. While that might not sound like much of an issue at first, a quick look at some of the set's promotional images shows us just how nefarious this really is. Yup, that minifigure is putting money into a washing machine. While we've all accidentally washed a pocket full of cash at one point, that's not quite what's going on here. You see, this washing machine shares a wall with the bank vault, which means that this money is, wait for it, being laundered. We all know that crime rates in LEGO City were high, but money laundering appears to be happening as well. Such a nefarious activity for a minifigure, but there's more. Because you may have noticed that LEGO's licensed sets have become a major focus for the company over the last few years. They have largely been big hits with both fans of LEGO and whatever property they're licensing. One of the most popular ones with non-LEGO fans has been The Office, which was released in 2022. I know I've mentioned this build before, but every time I look again, I find something new. This time, I've got a small detail that caused a few builders a bit of confusion. This step from the instructions shows that you can swap out a 1x2 white brick for a 1x2 Technic brick with hole. For anyone who hasn't seen the show, this seems like a completely random and totally unnecessary thing to do. However, fans are likely to immediately get the joke. Without going into it, this is a reference to a scene where a character punches a hole in a wall before being shipped off to anger management classes. By far the most wholesome Easter egg that I've seen in a set though can be found in Dobby the House Elf from 2023. While I find the set overall to be a little bit unsettling, there's one part that admittedly warmed my heart. On page 14 of the instructions, we're told to add a small gold heart tile before quickly covering it up to never be seen again. We all know that Dobby had a heart of gold, so this was great to see from the LEGO designers. Another licensed set that came with a very niche joke is the Portal 2 pack from the LEGO Dimensions line. This set included the game's main character, a turret, and a weighted companion cube. Fans of the game have long wondered what's inside these cubes, and it seems that LEGO was ready to answer that question. While building it, you'll have to add 4 translucent red 1x1 round studs, which some fans have claimed confirms the theory that the cubes are stuffed with people who failed the game's tests. Another amazing hidden secret from a video game can be found in the Nintendo Entertainment System build. This set features an incredible recreation of the famous World 1-1 level, but that's not the only Mario stage in here. During the construction of the console, there's an incredible section featuring the unmistakable layout of World 1-2, and it's even got the secret warp pipes at the end. Awesome. Now, going back to the Brickheads line, LEGO has been extra clever in a few sets. If we take a look at the Toy Story characters released a couple years ago, we can see Buzz Lightyear, Woody, and Little Bo Peep. Like most Brickheads, they have a small pink brick for the brain, but there's another hidden secret amongst one of these sets. You know, Sheriff Woody, he's got guts. No, literally, this guy comes with guts. When you're building his torso, you'll notice that the set comes with what look like some ice cream scoops. You simply place them into his torso. This is a pretty unique feature since Woody in the movie is a cotton-filled doll, so the LEGO designers included the ice cream scoops to represent the cotton, and just like his buddy Woody, Buzz Lightyear has a little secret too. In the movie, Buzz is a plastic action figure that requires batteries. Well, the designer for this LEGO Brickhead set included all of the details, even down to the batteries you'd need to power him up. You can see here in the instructions where you have to place LEGO bricks that look like 4 batteries into Buzz's torso. However, the weirdest hidden secret in any LEGO set might just be in the LEGO Minecraft set The End Battle. This box came with a truly one-of-a-kind brick that was totally unique to each package. Each of these sets included a 2x4 brick with a 25-digit code printed on it. Each of these was a completely unique, one-time use code that can be used to unlock a skin in the Bedrock edition of the game. I think this was a really neat idea, but I can definitely see why LEGO doesn't do this very often. Printing bricks with unique codes has got to be very annoying and a very costly endeavor in LEGO's factories. Nonetheless, there are many more fun hidden secrets in LEGO sets that you can see right here. Click to check them out, and don't forget to tap that subscribe button for more LEGO videos.